I had a horse and his name was Bill, and when he sang he couldn't stand still.
Well, when he ran.
Yeah, he kept saying when he sang.
Let's start over again. I had a horse and his name was Bill, and when he ran he couldn't stand still. He ran away one day, and I also ran with him.
I grew up in Baltimore, and I grew up in Southwest Virginia in the Appalachian Mountains.
I had a horse and his name was Bill, and when he ran, he wouldn't stand still, ran away one day, and also I ran with him. He ran so fast that he could not stop. He ran right into a barber shop, fell exhaustionized, with his eye teeth in the barber's left shoulder. Now in Frisco Bay.
And I was in the last year of elementary school in 6th grade. My teacher would play classical music for us, and I was just overwhelmed at how beautiful it was. I couldn't believe anything could be so gorgeous with these many instruments playing at one time, and I love this stuff. And one day I was about 13 years old, and my dad calls out to me. I was in my bedroom, and he says, "Forrest, come on out here. Your mother and I want to talk to you." I came out and I said, "Yeah, Dad, what do you want?" And he said, "Your mother and I think it's about time you learn how to play a musical instrument. Now, what is it you want to learn how to play?" And I thought for a second, "Wow, Dad, how about a bassoon?" And he said, "A bassoon? What the hell is that? How about a banjo, boy?" So he bought me a banjo. I also discovered at that time that I could draw. Now, I had no interest in drawing until that time, and in the place we lived in Virginia was very, very poor, and so being able to draw was not was not a skill that necessarily would feed you. When grading time came around, and I knew that I had slacked off, and my grades were not going to meet the approval of the people at home, I went to my teachers and I said, "I'd like to do some extra credit work." I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "Well, I can draw you bulletin boards." My American history teacher said, "Okay, here's some white paper, and here's a box of colored chalk, and here's my favorite artist, Remington." So I did him a copy of one of Remington's paintings of the Wild West. He loved it, and pulled out a B. So I said, "Well, maybe I'm onto something." So I went to my Spanish teacher. Then I went to my English teacher. So all three of these teachers came to me, and they said, "I mean, there's no reason for you to take academics. Your skill is definitely in the arts." By my senior year, I had 3 of my classes, because we were able to get 2 electives. And so 2 of my classes were there, and I dropped out of a Spanish 3 class. So they allowed me to take another art class with him. And then I got injured. My foot got injured, and I couldn't take gym. So I ended up having 4 periods of art a day. It was like heaven. I got my draft notice to go into the Army, and I said, "Oh man, what am I going to do? Vietnam is raging," and of course I was culturally anti-war, as everybody else was, at the time. My mother's husband, Buddy, he was a lifer Marine. He was a gunnery sergeant, and he said, "Forrest, you got your draft notice. If you don't want to be cannon fodder, join." So I thought about it, and I thought, "Oh, okay, well, what have I got to lose?" So I went down the recruiter. I joined up. My military career was basically just not let them know that I existed. At some point, they discovered I could draw. The commanding general of Fort Devens has commanded all the companies on the base to come up with a display every month called the Foundations of Freedom. And this was to encourage patriotism in the troops. And every month, the commanding general would come to each company and judge. And the company that got first place got a special So my company commander came to me and said, do you want to do this? Okay, I'll be glad to do it. So I did it, and he won first place. I was really happy about that because that meant I got to do it again. So I won first place for him for like 2 months. And then he gets a call, and he comes to me and he says, you've been reassigned to headquarters company. I'm sorry to lose you, but you know, orders are orders. Okay. So I moved all my stuff to headquarters company. And the major there said, I want you to get me first place every month. So I did. I proceeded to do that. I would do big eagles. I would do GIs selection through the marshes in Vietnam. I would do all these drawings, and every month I got headquarters company first place. As a child, into the mess hall where I was working, he said, I hate to do this, but the generals discovered that I have a full-time artist doing this, and they said I got to reassign you. I got my orders. It was for Heidelberg, Germany. At that time, they had given me an Illustrator MOS 81 Echo 20, which is Combat Illustrator. Also, it was that year that I began to experiment with drugs. I began smoking a lot of hashish, experimenting with LSD. Then at Christmas Eve of that year, I was at a party at a commune in downtown Heidelberg. There's a lot of German hippies and a few GIs that were there. They passed around a drink, and it turned out to be some drug that I had never had before. It was a serious hallucinogenic that put me in a psychotic state for several months. Ended up losing my security clearance and being put into a lower position. And they knew that I was having trouble, so they planned for me to be discharged. And I thought I was, I could find my way out of it if I did more drugs, if I just did more LSD. For a year, I did nothing but study and meditate and do drugs, trying to cure myself in this thing. Then 1 year later, I suffered an episode of such import. I really thought I was going to die. I crashed. I really crashed. Was admitted to the psych ward at the U.S. Army Hospital. A young man came to me and said, I know you've been through some bad stuff, but there are some people I'd like to meet you and talk to you. And they were Christians. And I said, I don't really want to meet any Christians. I've had it with religion. I don't want to meet these Christians. And he said, okay. So he backed away. A few weeks later, I saw him, and he asked me how I was doing. And at that point, I was ready to talk to someone. After dinner, Richard shared with me the gospel, and he shared with me who Jesus was. I just thought that Christianity was a religion for young kids and old ladies and fools. I prayed with them. Nothing really happened, but little by little, I saw my heart changed, and I no longer wanted to do the things that I was doing. I was feeling a sense of freedom and peace that I hadn't had previously. Meanwhile, all this was going on, I still was in the Army. I met these two guys. One was an artist. We hit it off right away. He was also a musician, and we started playing together and sharing songs. We met up with a couple other guys who were musicians. And we decided we were going to, let's make a band. Let's make a Jesus band. I'd only been a Christian for a couple of months, right? So I really didn't know, what to do, or, what I was doing. But these guys had all been raised in the church, and they were all Christians, and so they became my family, and we put together this band, and they were all wonderful musicians. So we took our show on the road, called ourselves Sunlight. For the next 3 years, we were together, writing songs, traveling different places, ministering, and sharing our testimonies, and it became life-changing for me.
Thy presence to me, and the king looked at the beggar, and he said, "You've been set free. All your sins are forgiven now. You're born into royalty." And so the king and the beggar walked arm in arm. You see, that king was Jesus, the King of Kings, and that golden beggar was me. He who was rich became so poor that beggars rich might be. The Son of God became the Son of Man.